There is nothing more annoying than seeing your favorite player get injured and get sidelined for half the season. And it's even more annoying when the injury is completely avoidable. So today, our list will be the 10 dumbest injuries in the history of the National Football League. Starting off with Dre Greenlaw. Starting off with the guy who went from one of the most exciting players to the unluckiest one. Dre Greenlaw, a linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers, was on top of the world heading into the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. Greenlaw wasn't even on the field when he was injured. He was just warming up on the sidelines, but he was a pretty crucial part of the 49ers squad. Known for his hard-hitting style and crucial tackles, he was a key contributor to the 49ers' defensive success. But fate had other plans. It was an intense moment on the field, and just like everyone else in the stadium, Greenlaw was jumping up with excitement. He ran onto the field in excitement, but stretched a bit too much. Turns out he got a bit too excited and suffered a devastating injury, a torn Achilles tendon. The injury forced him to miss the entire game and the entire season the following year. It was a heartbreaking blow for Greenlaw and the 49ers. The team had high hopes for the Super Bowl, and Greenlaw's absence was a significant loss. As for the recovering and coming back, well, he's still a 49er, and it's just a matter of time before he returns. And once he's back, he's going to bring instincts, violence, and consistency to the table. Gus Frerotte. Gus Ferrotte's injury was a hilarious mishap. Gus Frerotte, the Washington Redskins quarterback, was known for that impossible 99-yard touchdown pass during his time with the Vikings. That's not the only thing he's famous for. He was a force to be reckoned with the football in his hand, but Ferrotte's enthusiasm might have gotten the better of him when he scored a touchdown after a 1-yard run against the Giants in 1997. Frerotte celebrated by headbutting a wall in the end zone. Yep, he just straight went up and put his head into the wall. The impact was so hard that he suffered a neck sprain, ending his night early. While it is bizarre and unfortunate, Frerotte was able to recover from his injury and continue his career. His headbutt, though, became a memorable moment in NFL history and a reminder that even the toughest players can't quite go through walls. Bill Gramatica. Speaking of celebrating a bit too hard, Bill Gramatica was known for his reliable leg and clutch field goal kicking. He was playing for the Arizona Cardinals and was pretty good at kicking the football from wherever he was on the football field. On December 30th, 2001, after kicking a 42-yard field goal in the opening quarter of the game, Gramatica celebrated by jumping into the air. It was a normal celebration, just a leap into the air, but he landed very awkwardly and it tore his ACL, ending his season abruptly. Now, the injury was a major setback for Gramatica, who had established himself as a dependable kicker in the National Football League, because a torn ACL is a tough injury to come back from regardless of what position you play, especially the kicking position. And what made the injury particularly notable is that when it happened after such an early kick and for a relatively short field goal. Gramatica was known for his enthusiastic celebrations, but no one thought something like this would happen. Despite the setback, Gramatica was able to recover from the injury and return to the league. However, his career never fully regained its momentum. He continued to play, but there was somehow always an injury that was holding him back. Next up, Chris Hanson. Gramatica's injury was pretty unlucky, but no one has a worse injury history with luck than Chris Hanson. Chris Hanson was a guy known for his speed and agility. He was a dynamic playmaker who could make big plays down the field. Hanson's career was marred by a bizarre incident that occurred in the Jacksonville Jaguars locker room. The Jacksonville Jaguars had a tree stump and an axe in the locker room. Why was it there? Well, then coach Jack Del Rio had the genius idea of having the players use the axe as a motivational exercise. And Chris Hanson hit his right leg with the axe and was sidelined for several weeks. Something that was completely avoidable and stupid that endangered Hanson's career and life. He was fine afterwards, didn't miss much of the action, but still, he was an axe in the locker room. Next up, Taylor Heinicke. Well, if you think it can't get worse, think again. Because the way the Vikings' Taylor Heinicke got injured just keeps getting funnier the more you listen to it. Taylor Heinicke, a quarterback known for his scrambling ability, had a unique injury that occurred off the field. Heinicke broke a tendon trying to break into his house. He got locked out of his own house and decided to break in instead of getting a professional to unlock it. The injury forced him to miss a portion of the season, impacting his playing time, and despite the injury, Heinicke was able to recover and continue his career, but he probably always made sure that he had his keys in hand before locking the door. Jason Pierre-Paul. At least he knows now not to try and kick down the doors to his own house. Just like Jason Pierre-Paul now knows not to play with fireworks, he learned another lesson with this injury. A defensive end known for his powerful pass rush and athleticism had a terrifying incident that occurred off the field. July 4th, 2015, Pierre-Paul was involved in a fireworks accident that resulted in the amputation of several fingers on his right hand. It was a very nasty incident, but fans couldn't keep calling Jason out for how stupid he was. He kept celebrating, and a firework went off in his hand. Obviously, in a sport about catching the ball, the injury was a devastating blow to Pierre-Paul's career. It was unclear whether he would return to the National Football League. However, through determination and rehabilitation, Pierre-Paul was able to make a remarkable comeback. He adapted his playing style to compensate for the loss of his fingers and continued to be a productive force on the defensive line. It's pretty remarkable that he continues to play after the injury, but all he had to do was let a professional handle the fireworks. Next up, Lamar Houston. Lamar Houston tore his ACL, celebrating a sack in garbage time when he was losing by 25. Enough incidents off the field. This one is similar to Bill Gramatica, just dumber. Lamar Houston, a defensive end known for his pass rushing ability, had a particular injury that occurred during a game. His job was rushing the opposing quarterback, and he did his job a bit too well. The only problem was, well, his team was down by 25 points. He got a sack in garbage time, and somehow thought it would be a good idea to celebrate. He just did a little leap, but landed awkwardly, tore his ACL. Why would anyone celebrate by losing by 25? I guess we'll never know, but Lamar Houston probably won't ever celebrate again. He got back, though. He just has to live with the jokes now. Next up, Antonio Brown. But at least Lamar went down in action. This next guy didn't even get to play. Antonio Brown, a wide receiver known for his electrifying playmaking ability, had a bizarre injury that occurred during his tenure with the Raiders. Brown underwent cryotherapy treatment. However, due to a malfunction in the equipment, Brown sustained severe frostbite, which forced him to miss a portion of the season. His foot was dead, and it was shocking to see how a simple treatment could go so disastrously wrong. It was so surprising that some fans even questioned the need for cryotherapy. Something clearly went wrong in that chamber, and I'm sure from that day onwards, Brown thought twice before going in there again. Despite the setback, Brown was able to recover for the injury and continue his career. However, his tenure with the Raiders ultimately came to an end due to other issues, including a public altercation with the general manager of the franchise. I don't know what incident was worse, but Brown probably doesn't want to go back to the Raiders anymore. Next up, Plaxico Burress. The next one, though, probably one of the most craziest injuries in the NFL. Plaxico Burress is probably a potential NFL Hall of Fame wide receiver, if not for this freak injury. While at a nightclub in New York City, Burress accidentally shot himself in the leg. Now you might be asking, well, how do you accidentally shoot yourself? Well, Plaxico Burress had a gun in his sweatpants that slipped out, and it went off. That's the kind of bad luck you need to get shot in the leg by a gun that fell on the floor, especially when it's your own gun. Probably good luck you didn't blow someone's head off. The injury required surgery, forced him to miss the 2008 season. It also had a profound impact on his career and personal life, including legal consequences, felony charges. In his own words, he shot down a Hall of Fame career. Imagine calling your agent and your team to tell you how you just got injured after all that happened. Next up, Nate Burleson. Now, the Plaxico Burress phone call would be awkward, but not as awkward as telling your agent you broke your arm for a pizza. Nate Burleson probably had the funniest and most dangerous incident on the freeway after having a very good game against the Washington Redskins. He was having a great day and decided to go for a pizza. He put the pizza in the passenger seat and during the drive home had a nasty accident. Well, here's the story. He saw he was close to a van, but instead of hitting the brakes, he tried to go around it at high speed, lost control, crashed the car, and broke his arm. First thing he said after realizing his arm was broken was, "Damn, I just fucked up our season." But why didn't he hit the brakes? Well, he didn't want his pizza to fall from the passenger seat. Yep, a pizza cost Nate Burleson the entire season. They were crazy good that season and lost it all for a pizza. The worst part is, pizza didn't even survive the crash. All that for nothing. Well, that was definitely one of the most dumbest injuries ever. But who knows, maybe we'll get more this season. Kind of weird to be hoping for dumb injuries. But yeah, until then, make sure you watch this next video, and I'll see you then.